As graphical fidelity increases, the developer has to work harder to make sure that you get the idea. Video games simply can't do everything. They're going to be lower fidelity than reality, so it's important for developers to define the boundaries between what you can and can't do in their simulation. No, you cannot, in fact, go in this direction. Door locked. Don't worry about it. I think a lot of the gee-whiz factor of new graphical fidelity is actually new interactive fidelity. Yes, ostensibly, the number of polygons in a soda can has increased, but you didn't used to be able to pick it up. Why would you even want to? What would be the purpose? Maybe it's a tutorial. The developer's cluing you in on the kinesthetic rules of their world. Maybe it's building the setting and characters. I'd say this example is both. Shenmue, with a reputation for its massive budget, was a graphical marvel at the time. It included a lot of little moments that, yes, showed off the realistic graphics, but also served to build the environment. Holding items in your hands, removed from the abstraction of inventory menus, is far more intimate than psychokinetically levitating a can in the center of your screen. Actually, come to think of it, where are your hands, Dr. Freeman? You get the idea. Call it vain if you'd like, but when faced with a new medium, humans often want to see portrayals of themselves. Sometimes this is easy. Photography? Just snap. And you've got you. Video games in the 70s, though? Well, that's harder. You've got to get abstract. This was only the start, though. Tech improved very quickly. It became common to just import old mediums and lean on their strengths.
To take those pencil test drawings that we were getting from Disney, we would digitize those and then put them into sprites in the game. And then we could test it. We could play test it, see what was working, see if the mechanic was working at all, but also see if the animation itself was working.
Technically, rendering this image of a human counts as a high-fidelity portrayal in a video game medium. The shift to 3D threw a spanner in that. Look, we're right back to where have your hands gone? Actually, no, that's not the right question. The better question is, are your hands important? Video games are fundamentally a conversation between you and the developer of the game. The developers need to focus on the right parts of the conversation to make it compelling and interesting to you. Focusing on Cloud's hands doesn't really add anything to anything. Maybe it checks a cool graphics box somewhere, but who cares? You get the idea. You get the idea.
A huge number of details go into creating a character like the G-Man. His eyes blend based on a radiosity calculation of the local illumination. They self-shadow and follow you as you move. He has 40 separate muscles in his face. His emotions are based on a taxonomy of facial expressions created by Dr. Paul Ekman, a research psychiatrist. Character technology gives us a broad emotional palette to draw upon, so you'll really hate your enemies in Half-Life 2, fear for yourself and your friends, and maybe discover a few new feelings along the way.
There's a reason face-to-face communication is so highly praised by people that want you off their lawn. There's a lot of detail there, and it took a while for 3D tech to stop paving it over. Half-Life 2 added a custom solution that gave animators the tools to convey all sorts of subtle expressions and more between them at runtime. It offers way more control than, say, changing the facial texture between happy.jpg and alert.jpg. There is a sort of in-between, though. Motion capture is a nice synthesis of capturing reality and recreating reality. It's been around for a while and was immediately praised for its ability to capture the subtle movements that truly sell the physicality of human actors. But step back for a moment. What does that actually do for the developer? What does that do for the player? Or rather, what doors does that open?
We started research on it about 5 years ago.
Back then, only research groups were already doing it. This kind of on 3D mesh generation from optical cameras.
We thought that there might be some application for what we were doing. This story is a detective story, so the believability of the character's performances is key to gameplay.
That's one of the key strengths of our system. We can actually see all the subtle features that animation traditional ones just can't do.
Notice how these developers saw an emergent technology and wondered how it could be used to build an experience. If you're capturing subtle movement from actors, what doors does that open? Lie detection? Perfect for a detective game. The point isn't that the tech is impressive. The point is that it expands your horizon on what developers can do. The box between your controller and your TV is no longer playing shadow on a wood grain table. Does this image instill anything within you? Peter Molyneux's gotten a lot of flack for a lot of things. This one, Project Milo, was presented as a tech demo, or maybe an upcoming game. It was only ever the former. The reaction to this quickly shifted from, wow, cool tech, into never trust Molyneux, which is a bit harsh if you ask me. I'd like to walk through this trailer and reframe it a bit. Peter Molyneux appears to be excited about this amazing game, but I'd argue he's actually excited about the expanded capabilities of that box between the gamer and the TV. Look.
That is if you finished your homework. You have finished your school project.
What happened there is that Claire knew Milo so well, she knew when he was worried about something. His head was down, he wasn't looking at the camera so much, and this is about you meeting a character, a person.
The part about Claire knowing Milo so well is kind of hammed up. The real star of the show is the expressiveness on the virtual character. Look at this body language. It's not particularly subtle, but tastefully so. And the ability to render that is kind of exciting, right? Especially for a developer that wants the character to express himself non-verbally. But then look at this part.
Well, great, let's get started then.
You've got to put these goggles on.
Goggles?
Put them on like this.
Okay. What? Like that?
Claire has been thrown a pair of goggles. Notice what she did. This wasn't acted. She felt the need to reach down for those goggles. Now, everybody, every single person that has experienced this reaches down because they feel so connected to Milo's world.
Cool.
It's really, really easy to zoom into the line.
This wasn't acted.
And unsheath your pitchfork. But read between the lines. Why is he excited? Because if the player's reacting like they're at the 1895 premiere of Arrival of the Train at La Ciotat, then they are immersed. And of course, the developer would be excited that some new hardware has to solve the boundaries between the player and the world they so carefully created. It's not about the graphics. It's not about the realism. It's not about the cool tech. It's about the conversation. Game developers want to say something, and the graphics, the realism, the tech, the style, teraflops and gigabytes. And these are all just tools. Tools that the game developers are forced to use to communicate. The tools have gotten better over time. And when the tech improves, it's exciting because it means there's more tools in the toolkit. Not because the tools themselves are inherently cool, even though they kind of are. It's about the conversation. Don't ask, how good are these graphics? Ask, what do these graphics communicate?
Yellow. Kurg beer. And you're telling me a band on this-ware? Part 1. What is abandonware? Abandonware, noun. A product, usually software, that is ignored by the publisher or owner and has no official support. It's very unfortunate, but software being abandoned is surprisingly common, the most known examples being the first two Fallout games. In 1997, Black Island Studios released the first Fallout game. The next year, they released the sequel. In 2003, Black Island Studios closed, leaving the first two Fallouts in the hands of their parent company, Interplay. The first two Fallout games were available on Interplay's website until 2005, when Interplay declared bankruptcy, meaning the two games were only abandonware for 2 or 3 years until the Fallout franchise was acquired by Bethesda in 2007. Part 2. Balance.
February 15th, 2004. Balance homepage online. Welcome to the Balance homepage. We finally managed to go online, but we haven't finished the page yet. During the next weeks, all sections will be filled with content. Our precious game is still in the Atari Test Labs, but everything's running very smoothly. We are very confident that we will be able to meet the release date in mid-March. The Balance 1 level demo will be available for download soon. And yes, we decided to keep the page in English only. It's just too much work to make all the updates in 2 languages, or more. February 24th, 2004. Balance goes gold. The release candidate of Balance has finally passed the Atari Test Labs and will go directly to the CD manufacturer. Yeah. Thanks to Carrie Maverick and Diane DeLay. Thanks to all testers, especially Prashant. And listen to what the testers have to say about Balance.
Could you tell the developers that this game is a beauty? Everyone here enjoys playing it.
And finally, in about a month, the game is released.
April 24th, 2004. Balance out of stores. Balance is available in Great Britain since April 2nd and can be ordered online at Amazon UK and other stores for £10. In the rest of Europe, the price will be £15. The German release will be in a couple of days on April 29th. You may already place an order at Amazon.de. According to Paul, Balance is out in Ireland too. What about the sunny south? Italia, Spania, etc. And what about the sunny north? Denmark, Sverige? Please drop us a note.
Interestingly enough, since the game had only released in Europe, you wanted to order it from outside of Europe, the developer encouraged you to email him and ask for the game, in which case he would pay £30 and email you that game through Amazon. Hausreich was so proud of what he had made. He willingly lost money on this deal if it meant someone, somewhere, would be able to play the game.
October 30th, 2004. Balance Heroes. A new section of the webpage goes online. Instead of the not very reliable online high score, we build the Balance Heroes section. Here, you can download videos from top players showing their tricks.
And then, radio silence. 2 years later, the website would receive its final update.
October 25th, 2006. Balance released in the USA and Japan. Over 2 years after the first release, Balance is still going strong. The huge success of the downloadable version of Balance kept this game alive. Atari did the only logical thing and finally released Balance in the USA and Japan. Our faithful fans in the States don't have to write desperate emails anymore, but can now simply pay Amazon.com a visit. Also, check out more fan videos at YouTube.com.
The game was abandoned simply by time. It's only obtainable until late 2011 on Atari's website, at which point the listing for the game disappeared along with the rest of the CD-ROMs on their site. Sometime in 2011, the Balance.org site was sold. Balance is an extremely eerie game. Not only is there the seemingly endless fall that taunts you in nearly every level, but the only sounds in the game are the ambience of the different balls on different surfaces and the nearly silent hums of wind in the distance. I say wind, but there's no way to really be sure when there's this. Despite this there is 5 sets of different music that will play at certain points in levels. Some are tranquil and peaceful. Some are just a slight bit off-putting. Some are extremely off-putting. A lot of the sound effects and music feel very ethereal, which goes along quite well with certain courses. It almost makes you feel as though life used to be here. Each level ending with loud bongos and various drums being cut off by soft ringing of bells and whistles. Things only being able to be produced by life. Except for level 12. When you load in, it's immediately apparent that this is the final challenge. The world itself spiraling into a more contextualized nothing below. While the rest of the game plays out as a puzzle platformer, this level plays out more as a test of skill and patience. Even the end of the level has a different animation. While other levels end with your ball being drifted away on a platform held up by balloons, this level deceives you. As your platform drifts away, the drums and bongos are interrupted by metallic whirring as your ball is abducted by a UFO and taken into the great nothingness beyond. The only life you experience in this game, the thing only life can create, is cold, metallic, and uninviting. Or just a funny ball game, and it's not really that deep. Also, final note in Balance, there's a 13th level called the Twilight Zone that was only available on the Balance homepage. That is meant to be a much harder challenge, but at this point in my Balance playthrough, I had had enough, and I was not ready to take on the challenge. Part 3. The Neverhood. Neverhood was released in 1996, developed by Neverhood Inc. and published by DreamWorks Interactive.
How did all this happen? Ours is a simple story. Once upon a time, we worked at Virgin Interactive Entertainment. Then some of us left and formed Shiny Entertainment. Then some of us left and formed Neverhood